Call of Duty Infinite Warfare has now released, and whether you like it or not, a lot of people are playing, or at least they're trying. So if you are one of those people who are trying to be good at the game, we're here with some things to know when starting a new game. These are some basic tips and tricks for embracing multiplayer. You'll thank us later. Starting off with point number 7, we're gonna cover the basics that basically everyone should know when playing a modern Call of Duty game. There's some things you really have to do. First things first, you need to really learn the maps. You need to understand where you're playing, where you can run, where you can escape to, where the sight lines are, and basic stuff like that. While you're playing, you're also gonna wanna glance at the minimap very often. The minimap is your friend here. It's going to show you where you're going, but most importantly, it's going to show you where some other players are. Not all players though, so don't rely on it too heavily. Also, many Call of Duty fans swear by the act of pre-aiming, so make sure to learn pre-aim and embracing aim lead. Also, it goes without saying, try and use teamwork where it counts. Even though, look, in Call of Duty there's not a lot of communication, you should still try and give it your best shot. And also, just get good. And at number 6, for success in Infinite Warfare multiplayer, you need to learn to embrace the classes. Now, for those uninitiated, it's like a bigger, more fleshed out version of specialists from Black Ops 3. This time around, they're called rigs, and I think it's important to know that there really is no best one. Every single one slightly embraces a different play style, and gives you certain little advantages for certain situations and different versions of play. You might find one of these rigs really caters to your play style, you get the perfect build going, and maybe they look cool or you like their ult, but it's important to be reactive and learn a lot of these classes and change them frequently. Different situations could call for different rigs much better, so you should probably learn the ins and outs of most of them. The FTL, for example, is all about speed, so you should embrace that during kill confirmed or other deathmatch modes, where you really just want to blaze around the map as fast as possible, killing as much as you possibly can. The Striker, and more particularly the Merc or the Heavy class guy, is good for holding down points, so use them in something like Domination, or even Capture the Flag. While you might not notice big differences in all of them besides their special weapons, there is some subtlety to the different rigs, and I think it's important to learn the ins and outs of them. And at number 5, this is a bit of a small thing, but it's nice to know. It's a newer addition to the game, shooting and throwing at the same time. The way the first-person system works now is an actual hand-based system. So the higher triggers used for throwing grenades or gadgets take one hand, and shooting and using the gun take another hand. Which means you can shoot while deploying some gadgets or using a grenade, and that's really important. If you want to use that precious second to cook a grenade, you can still hold down covering fire while doing so. You can also shoot with one hand while vaulting over objects. A lot of people don't realize this because it's a very subtle and minute thing, but over the course of playing Infinite Warfare for a few days now, it has saved my ass multiple times. And at number 4, this is important to know, especially for people who have been out of the Call of Duty loop for a while, but maybe you should have picked this up by now. Either way though, listen to me. Never stop moving. First things first, wall running is fine and cool, but some people will say it makes you an easier target. But on the flip side, it's a way better way to get a drop on people and even confuse them. If someone sees you, it's a good way to change up the direction of where you're actually headed. And coming down from the high ground or up in the air and surprising someone down below always usually works in your favor. But at least for me personally, sliding is most effective, most especially because it gives you a boost in speed. It's also really satisfying to get a slide kill. I don't know. However, though I said never stop moving, it's important to know that there's a difference between never stopping and just rushing through. Learn the difference here. You're going to want to keep your momentum, but not in a stupid way that gets you killed. Rushing gets you killed. Learn the maps, learn the lanes, and learn the areas where to embrace the new movement types. And at number 3, some tips if you're a progression-y type person, save your unlock keys. You can use these keys for supply drops to unlock useful skins and all that stuff. Whether you hate this system or not, saving them up and using them much further down the line to unlock, like, more useful combat rig stuff, or bigger, more powerful guns that can potentially change the game, like a prototype weapon, it's gonna be your best bet here. If you grind through some of the early game stuff and just hold on to those keys and even those salvage points, you'll benefit a bit more in the long run, later on when you're more leveled up and you go on a shopping spree. And at number 2, previously I mentioned saving your salvage, and that is very important. You need to embrace the weapon crafting system here. It's new, it's different, but it is useful. A lot of people have been complaining, and I know I have, that earning salvage is super slow. But getting weapons with better attributes and rankings is totally worth it. You can craft some crazy weapons that have really different perks and attributes attached to them throughout these color rankings, and even unlock an epic weapon, which those are really good despite the corny name. You can get more scrap while progressing through mission teams. This is like a new meta progression system. So definitely click on mission teams and embrace that stuff to earn more salvage and points. And at number 1, learn about the important perks. You should go with a max of like 2 to 4-ish perks per build and save room for other equipment and abilities. If you're just getting started as a beginner in multiplayer, I can recommend like 3 perks to start with that definitely might make your life a little easier. First, there's Momentum, which gives you added mobility and speed, which obviously is always useful, especially going back to the other points I talked about. Also, Recon gives you better situational awareness by being able to see more on the map, and it definitely gives you a tactical leg up of an advantage with UAVs and stuff. The best perk so far, at least least in the community, which it seems like is embracing it through its usefulness, but also its necessity through the way the game is designed, is Ghost. The Ghost perk makes you invisible to UAV and radar pings when sprinting, operating score streaks, planting, and defusing. Basically, it makes you invisible a lot of the time, and it's going to be really useful, especially if you want to get around, use those kill streaks, rank up, without getting spotted and killed as much. So guys, those are some things to know when starting a new multiplayer game of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. This list is definitely for beginners, and we know there are a ton more tips out there, so we want to hear from you guys down in the comments. Let us know any tips you have. Let us know anything you want about Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. I know it's divided many people, and you guys know the deal, especially if you learned a thing or two. Clicking the like button helps us out a ton, and we really appreciate it. And subscribing if you're new is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.